Hi modelers, it's Chris, the modeler at ABR Modelworks. This is the first video in our series on the bench modelling tools, tips and reviews for building model railroads. Entitled On the Bench, the basic tools, paints and glues you need. So let's take a look at my modelling workbench. Okay, so this is my workbench. In the foreground are the tools and consumables, glues, etc. that I always use. So let's work our way across the bench. So I use bamboo skewers, mainly for mounting 3D components and other plastic items I'm about to paint, because it's a lot easier to take an item and rotate it when you're spraying. So I'll show you how I do that in a painting video. You need a good paintbrush for cleaning off and dusting your models as you're sanding them, etc. Some Q-tips for cleaning, a square for checking alignment on components as you're gluing them together. Good set of needle files. These products are available at your local hobby shop, and so please support them. An X-Acto knife. I buy my blades in packs of 100. You can't really scrimp on your blades. Once they go blunt, you throw them away. Put another one in, they're cheap. I also use the skewers for stirring and painting, etc. Pencil for notes. A 6-inch rule. Very handy to have a small ruler. I also use a 2-foot rule as a straight edge on this sheet of galvanized iron. Now the sheet of galvanized iron is one of the tools I actually use every day on every project. Along with some weights, I just went to my local steel merchant, got a piece of 3-foot 1 meter long piece of 40 mil, that's that 1.75 inch square mild steel. Had them cut up into a series of different size and thickness blocks. These are very simple, but great way of stacking things up when you're gluing items together. And a bunch of magnets. So the combination of those blocks and the magnets are what I use to hold things together when they're drying. And moving across, Speed Bond. Fell in love with these guys last year. They make a great range of products, and this is a fantastic PVA glue. It dries very quickly, and the secret is just to use the amount you need to glue the two pieces together. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a model building you're building, so you don't need to over glue it, which a lot of people do. So this is probably, these are the other two really good buys last year. There's a little bottle that you can just put out the exact amount, and it saves money. I used to put glue down on a little bit of plastic and use a skewer and put little dobs where I needed them, but you always had to put out more and more glue because it was drying too quickly. This, I'm going through far less glue. Great product. Thanks very much to the guys at Deluxe Materials. I use their CA glue as well, mainly for gluing the 3D printed parts together and also gluing them to the end of the skewers for painting. Now this is something you may have seen or overlooked in your hobby shops, but Deluxe Materials also make a lightweight filler. It's designed for model aircraft, which of course is made of balsa wood, and balsa wood is quite soft. So it's a very, very easy to sand. Gives you a great surface, paints like the wood. It's fantastic. And the other thing that I use this for is the grout in our 3D printed brick panels. It's great, and I'm going to show you how to do that. They're canopy glue for also gluing plastic, and this is a little drying rack that will soon be available. You've got to have something to hold your models when they're drying. Any old plastic lid is fine when you're mixing your paints up. Range of paintbrushes. Across the front of the bench here we've got an X-Acto. There's a razor saw. It's used all the time, pretty much every day. I use a couple of small mats to work with for cutting on, so self-healing mats. Two types of tweezers, the ones that you pinch together to hold something and the ones that stay together. Good pair of sprue cutters, essential for working with your 3D parts. This is something that I've made. It's a sanding block, and so basically just a piece of pine and some MDF stepped with a little recess that you can put your parts that you're wanting to sand on and sand the bottom flat. Some sanding blocks, again one that I made up. It has the ends relieved so that when you're sanding over a flat surface you're not running the corner of the block into it. Some nail files, emery boards. 3D sanding pads are soft, so if you're doing something that has a curve to it, it gives you a nice clean transition on the radius, so that's good. Also being soft, yeah, it's good when you're sanding laser cut material. Sparmax is the brand of airbrush that I use. This is an SP20X. I find it to be a good all-round airbrush. Works very, very well. I'm very happy with it. Easy to clean, easy to maintain. Fantastic little airbrush. Bunch of clothing pegs, some paper clips. Now, in the background, you know, I've laid this out so all of my tools are handy. And there are a bunch of other things there that, you know, nice to have, but not absolutely important when you're starting. But you'll collect a lot of this material as you go. I have a fantastic range of Vallejo paints. I bought most of my paints in sets, and the reason why I use Vallejo paints is that they are a very good quality paint. They give great coverage, which makes them economical at the end of the day. But fantastic paint, been around for a while, available anywhere in the world. So as we're producing our models, we'll be letting you know what colours and that we're working with and how we're mixing them. They also do a range of pigments and other weathering materials, etc. I also use their primers, which are a good way to go because they come in, you know, a larger bottle, so they're quite economical from that point of view. So I don't buy them in the smaller bottles. They do a primer in this size. Buy it that way. It's a lot more economical. They also do some texture materials for your dioramas and putting things like mud up against walls, etc. So that's basically the bench. Now the last thing, if you are working indoors and you're spraying, you do need a spray booth. All I've done is I made a little box with a grill, a ventilation fan that you would use for venting steam out of a bathroom, and I have that piped outside. It keeps the fumes, paint dust that you get from spraying out of the room and of course out of my lungs. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this quick little look at my bench. If there are any items here that are of interest to you and you'd like to know more about them, please comment in the comments area at the bottom. As far as these tools and the way I work is concerned, as I produce the videos on the kits, I will be talking about the techniques and how I use the tools. So that way, if you're new to the hobby and you don't have those skills, I'll certainly be covering that in a bunch of videos, both in our On the Bench series and in the model kit building. So in the meantime, please subscribe and ring the bell and go to our website, check out our products, and while you're there, join our newsletter. We put our information there as well and keep you up to date with what we're doing. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Chris, the modeler at ABR Modelworks. Have a great day.